part two of Matters of the Heart radio ministry broadcast today with your radio host personality, Princess Denise Wright. Thank you for tuning in today. We certainly hope that you were listening to part one of our program today. If you missed it, you missed a blessing. But we're ready for part two as we continue with our program today. In the studio with me today is my special guest, Susan Patricia Golden. What a blessing it is, Susan, to have you in the studio today. Will you just get a shout out to our radio listening audience today?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for the invitation.
You're welcome.
And I'm thrilled to be here. And hello, everybody. We're going to be talking about the power and the importance of music.
Oh, I just can't wait to hear about that. Well, with that being said, Susan, let's not waste another minute. Okay. I'm going to give you this opportunity right now to go forth and introduce and let our audience know what you got for them today. Okay?
Okay, that's awesome. Now, most people would say that they like music or they love music. But music for many people is kind of like that underappreciated spouse. We know they're there, but we take them for granted.
Yes.
So today, I want to encourage you not to take music for granted, but to realize that this is our essence, that we are every cell of our body vibrates to the energy around us.
Yes, yes.
We pull in music from the universe. It doesn't come from us, I don't believe, but from the universe. Comes through us.
Come through. Yes, I'm trying to digest that.
Yeah.
Coming through the universe to us. Is that
right.
how you phrase it?
That's the way I see it.
All right. Okay. Continue.
Okay. Well, the other thing about music is that one of our greatest skills in life is learning how to listen. And there's nothing better than to teach children and adults how to listen than to have music in their lives. It's just absolutely crucial that we have that. And Quincy Jones said that music was his other mother.
I like that. He said that was his other mother.
Right.
That's powerful. Oh, I love that. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so,
all righty.
When we have our music and our art, we connect the left brain to the right brain, we connect our head to our heart, and we connect heart to heart. So that's another important thing about music. And I think the jazz community really demonstrates that so well. Because when you see a group playing jazz, they are looking at each other, they're making contact, they're doing their own thing, they're upping their own game, and they're in competition with themselves, but they're in cooperation with each other. So this is another important part of music, that it teaches us teamwork and how to be in cooperation, which I think is so important. Mm-hmm. And too much of our emphasis in this country, in my opinion, is on competition.
Yes.
And when we're competing against somebody, we're having winners and losers. When we're cooperating, everybody wins. And everybody grows, and everybody aspires to be their best self. So this is another important aspect of music in my belief. The other thing is that the quantum physicists tell us everything is wave and particle. Waves are sound, silence, and vibration. That's music and dance. Particles are color, light, and shape. And that's art. That is what we are on a fundamental level. And so to have those things in our lives, it stimulates our own creativity. And Dr. Maya Angelou says that creativity doesn't dry up. We can't use up our creativity. The more you use, the more you have. And I mean, she's one of my heroes because she just had such an extraordinary life and she sang, she made poetry, she wrote, She, I think, did art as well. I'm not sure
One
about
of the
that.
best poets ever lived.
Yeah,
You got that
yeah.
right, Susan.
Well,
Absolutely.
and to be invited for the inauguration of President Clinton
Yes, right.
to speak her poem.
And she did.
And then we had another young lady this year at
I
the
forgot her
inauguration.
name at Joe Biden, President Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Oh, she did I think she's 24.
She's 22.
Oh, 22.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And her sister is a twin, and she's very talented as well.
Oh, my gosh.
But you know, when you give children their art and you give them the free rein to create from their heart and their soul,
Yes.
they learn who they are.
Yes.
And
they
when
do.
we know who we are,
Yes.
we are not going to be swayed by everybody coming along, encouraging, I mean, teenagers can get into a lot of mischief, but I believe that they have their arts and their music, they're less likely to fall into that trap because they're connected to their heart. They know who they are, and they become stronger and more confident. And from that place, they're not going to be, the peer pressure is not going to be an issue or as big an issue anyway. That's my hope, desire.
Yes.
There are exceptions to those rules, but yeah.
It's so important, Susan, as you've already said, and I just want to make this one comment, is when you really find out who you are, your gifting that's within, you really bank on it, move on it, be spiritually, inspirationally moved on it.
Absolutely.
And it will definitely develop you to becoming who you are. Just like you mentioned, Quincy Jones, okay, great producer and all that he's done through the years. And as we go with other producers that are out there, and when you just see that, sometimes when I'm listening to music, I love the music because I love how they have put this arrangement together.
Right.
That sometimes I love the music more than I'm listening really to the song because of the creativity. I guess it's because I took piano lessons at an early age,
beautiful.
at 4th grade on up. So I just love the music when I'm seeing how they put those notes together and got that beat. Okay?
Right. And you're bringing up a really important part because with your having studied music, you really appreciate what goes into that.
I do.
So often we take things for granted and we think it all looks so easy and simple. And then when you really get to the nitty gritty and you start doing it, it's like,
Yes.
ooh, okay.
Yes, you do. You just love it. I just look at that arrangement. And look how they started that off like that with going into this song. Oh, this is just a perfect melody for this song. So I'm
Right.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. That's okay. That's great addition. The other point I wanted to make, the first sense that develops in utero is our hearing. The last thing that we lose when we're dying is our hearing. That's why it's very important when you're around people that are dying not to talk anything that you don't want them to hear, because they most likely will hear it. That's kind of an aside.
Say it again, because it is the gospel truth, Susan. Your hearing is the last thing to leave before you depart from this world. I know that to be true. I've been in the presence of those that have died, and I know what I said to them before they died, because they had been in a coma for days.
Yeah.
But when I spoke what I had to say to them, and their eyes popped open, almost scared me to death.
Wow.
And then once I said that, it was just a few minutes later, they left, they departed.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I know it to be true because I've experienced it much through the years.
Isn't that an exquisite opportunity to be with somebody at birth or at death? I think is one of the greatest gifts that we
Yes.
ever receive, and most people are afraid of, especially with the dying. But to be there when that person is in that very vulnerable state of crossing over is really important. And the one thing about music at that time, it's very important not to play music that they're familiar with, because that pulls them back into earth.
Yes.
The idea is to play atonal music that
Yes.
they're not familiar with, and that's just the sound and vibration that is soothing and comforting, but not something where they know the words and they want to sing along and
Yes,
it makes
yes.
them come back. So that's an aside about music, but I think another important point. So, did you have something you wanted to, or should I just take a breath here?
No. Only thing I was just going to say on that, just your last comment, that is true. Because, see, actually, it was my brother that passed away. And one thing I said to him is, Jeffrey, you know, our mother have not seen you in 56 years.
Wow.
And I know she is waiting on you. And it's just like, he accepted that and said, that's right. I haven't seen mother. He just like his little spirit would have been saying, yeah, you're right. I haven't seen mother since I was 6 years old. Yes, I want to go
Wow.
see my mother. And it was just a few minutes later, he left.
Wow. That
He
is so
left. He
powerful.
left. He was
Yeah.
he received that. Oh yes, I want to go see mother, and he just was gone. So
Oh,
I was so
wow.
happy.
What
was-
a beautiful thing to offer him. And, you know, if there was any fear in his heart at that point, I bet it totally
left.
dissipated.
It did. When I
and he
mentioned
was
mother,
comforted.
and he had been on all that morphine all week and hadn't even been waking at all.
Oh,
And when
wow.
I went by that bed and talked to him about mother, and we gonna miss you, we love you, but gonna get your rest, and he left.
Wow. That's powerful.
Now go ahead.
That's really powerful.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I want to point out is that it's very important to expose children to classical music, to Mozart, Beethoven, Bach. This music has been around hundreds of years, and there are special ways that this stimulates our learning and our creativity. And I love all the modern music. I think there's a place for everything. But there's something really special and important about the classics. There's a man, and I believe his name is Joseph Campbell, not the one about the myths, but the one about music. He's
Yes.
in Colorado. And he was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and they wanted to rush him into surgery. And he took a few deep breaths and he says, wait a minute, I teach people about the importance of music and healing. So he got headphones and he played Mozart hours and hours and hours on end. And his brain tumor shrunk and dissipated and was gone. And he's been healthy for many, many years as a result of that. So, you know, it's extraordinary. And there's so much more research about sound and vibration and about how important that is.
Yes, absolutely. You're true. Just like when I was taking my piano lessons in the 4th grade, that's what the music was all about, Mozart and all those. And I think it is when I went to Poland, I believe, they have a Mozart, someplace wherever he lived, and something else that the sites that we were seeing, and something else that I bought while I was there for representing Mozart. It was something, so it was amazing, and I believe that's where he resided in Poland.
Yeah, well, he may have. I know he was also from Austria, and Salzburg has a lot of stuff, and there's even the piano there that he played.
Yes.
And my minister at my former church in Maryland actually played that piano. He was such a good pianist. They
Yes.
invited him to play that piano.
Yes.
And what
yes.
an honor, you know, what a thrill
It
to be
is.
able to play something that is such a part of our history.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Really connects you to those old masters in a beautiful way.
All righty. And I think you said you had some instruments.
Well, I have a bunch of instruments, and actually I have a little program coming up. I don't have the children and I don't have the venue yet, but I'm creating this program with SELP of I Am a Miracle, because children need to know how magical and what a miracle they are.
Oh, yes,
You know,
absolutely.
and everything about us. We don't think about our breathing usually, although it's a really good idea to do that. But our breathing, our heartbeat, all these things just happen without our participation. And that is miraculous.
Exactly.
And then what we can create, and seeing all the different parts of humanity and all the different skills and talents that go into making up this world. And I truly believe that when we have our creativity, whatever field we go into, we're going to do a better job, because everything in life requires creativity. I mean, your production team here, they run into problems and issues, I'm sure, all the time.
Oh, yes,
And
they
if
do
and they have
sometimes.
to be really quick
Yes.
about solving those problems.
Figuring it out. Yes, they
Yeah.
do. Yes, they do.
And that kind of thinking comes from the creative arts. Whoops. Just lost my headphones there. Speaking
Yeah.
of glitches. But yeah.
And that's a good point you made, like trying to figure out technically real quick. Okay, let me check this, let me check that.
Right.
Okay, we're good. So,
Yeah.
and it has to be in a matter of minutes,
Right.
not hours.
Yeah. Seconds sometimes.
Not when you're live on the air.
Seconds. Yeah. And
That's right.
so this program, and I'm especially interested in working with children that are having a challenge in school.
Yes.
Everybody loves to work with the talented kids that are right out there volunteering for everything and whatever. But I think the discouraged kids need our attention even more, because everybody has skills and talents. And if we don't help those children that are challenged in school or in life to know who they are and to develop their own creativity, there's no telling where they're going to end up. So,
Susan, that is so true, because I actually was having a conversation a day or two ago with my sister, the Constance, the one you just heard, and we were talking about something, because I called her, and I wanted to talk about her two little grandchildren. They're 6 and 13. See, my oldest grandchild is 31. So it's a big difference of when I had children versus when
I thought you were 39.
Oh yeah, I'm hitting the 70 headed that way. 70 headed that way. But anyway, I was asking her. I said, Connie, what intrigued you or just led you to start reading to your children when they were 6 months old? Because that's what she used to do. She'd read morning, noon, and night, and she was a school teacher. And then when you go to visit her, you hardly had anywhere to sit, because she have labels over everything. Label sofa, label table, label chair, label bathtub, just everything in the place where she would be having that baby and saying, Carla, chair, sofa.
Wow.
And so by the time Carla was 1 year old, 12 months old, she could speak fluently sentences in everything that she said.
Wow.
And she really took me by surprise when my sister brought her over to my house when she was 2 years old. My sister wanted to go to New York to see her dad, who had a heart attack. So she says, I want you to keep Carla for me. And so she says, and also I want you to read to her every day. So I opened a suitcase, and kind of had in there nothing in it but a whole suitcase full of books. I was like, where the clothes? All these books.
The clothes just weren't important.
Yeah,
The books were.
so my kids were much older,
Yeah.
like 11 and 12, when Carla only 2. So one night we was looking at something on TV. I can't think of this little guy playing the looked like a little guitar, but all of a sudden my little niece that was 2 years old says, look at him, he playing a ukulele.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
Wow.
does she know about a ukulele?
Yeah.
And she only 2 years old.
Well, that's
she-
wonderful story.
So my sister, oh my gosh, the way she taught her 2 children, Carla and Carl, the same way that Carla is teaching her children. They Chase is 13. He's in the 7th grade, and he's on the level of a 10th grader.
Beautiful.
That's how smart he is.
Beautiful.
So yes. So
You know,
you're right, and she told me that one important thing, that when a child is born, you need to start programming them from the time they're really in the womb, but 1 year old to 7. If you have not laid the foundation then with things that you taught them by their reading, or even teaching them their manners, or just teaching them something instead of nothing.
Right.
Once they pass 7, they're going to have challenges.
Yeah. Well, you're bringing up another important point. I think the reading is excellent, and I totally encourage that. But there's another thing that often with new babies, people are so anxious to hear mama, dada, whatever, that they keep trying to force the kid to say those words.
Exactly.
However, the more important thing is that whatever the baby says, you babble back to them.
That's right.
So if the baby goes blah, 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 then you go blah, 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 blah.
That's right.
And the child
Exactly.
just, wow,
That's
somebody heard me. This giant thinks I'm important.
That's right.
And they learn so much faster. Their motor skills develop, their
Exactly.
language skills develop, because they've been heard.
Because
and
you're teaching
all of us
them
want to
something.
be heard.
Yes, you're teaching them something. And
Well,
that's
they're
what,
teaching us too.
And then, like the phrase, nothing from nothing leaves nothing. And absolutely.
Well, let's see, along with this program that I'm setting up for this SELP, Self-Expression and Leadership Program that I'm doing, we're going to work with 12 children from ages 8 to 10 and give them an experience of music, art, and dance, and just have them play and express themselves in a wonderful way. The other thing is that I've created this coloring book, the listening game, and I'm going to end with reading the poem from the listening game, because I want to, again, encourage people to know that music is within us and all around us, and everything is music. So this may be a good time to start that. What do you think?
I think so. Because
Okay.
because it's never too late until it's too late.
Okay.
Too late to do anything at this point, because then when your purpose is over with and you're gone. So right now is the time, always, when we still have an opportunity to do what we can do.
So this is a coloring book, and my niece, Bo Hudley, did most of the creative artwork, and I did some as well, but she really did the fun parts. So this is the listening game, and my other niece, Lindsay, had changed the name. I don't know what I had before, but Lindsay recommended the listening game. So it's above the sky. It's under the sea. It's in you. It's in me. It's in the trees and on the ground. It's even in the children on the merry-go-round. We hear it when the wind blows round. We hear it when the storm begins to pound. We hear it in the thunder and the lightning. And when the rain falls to the ground. We hear it in the silence of winter's white blanket of snow. We hear it when the ducks and the geese must go. We hear it in the silence just before the morning's dawn. We even hear it from the deer's first fawn. We hear it when the birds and lizards sing. We hear it when the church bells ring. We hear it when our friends and neighbors talk. We even hear it when the animals walk. We hear it when we stomp in a puddle. We hear it when we splash in a tub. We hear it when the bees are in a huddle. We hear it when a bear talks to her cub. If we listen, we hear it all through the day and nighttime too. If we listen, really listen, we hear it in everything we do. Do you know what it is? It is the spirit of music. It is our universal language. Music is within us and all around us. Music is a listening game. Music guides us through our days and rocks us gently while we sleep. May you enjoy the music of your life's symphony.
Thank you so much, Susan. And we said we got about 3 minutes left. And what I'm going to have you do is in the next minute or so, would you please let our audience know if there's any contact information to get in contact with you?
Sure.
In case,
Probably.
Yes.
Although I'm really hating emails these days because I get so much spam. But my email address, if you have a pencil, is spg, like Susan Patricia Golden, at universalmusicday.org. And you can also text me.
Are you on Facebook?
I'm on Facebook.
Oh,
That's
yes.
even better. Yes,
Okay.
Susan Patricia Golden on Facebook. And so any comments about the show today would be greatly appreciated. In October, we will be celebrating the 15th annual Universal Music Day. Now, I had really hoped that some young geniuses would be picking this up and taking it globally by this time. But in the meantime, we have something locally, and we encourage people to make music at their home. And we encourage everybody to make music. Everybody can go over to a piano and hit a few notes and really feel that vibration and listen to the sounds going off into the universe. You don't have to study music for years to be able to have fun with that. So we encourage people to get together, whether it's just a few people or whether it's a group, and create your own event for celebrating the power and importance of music in our lives. And so that takes place on the second Saturday of October each year, and you can find out about that on our website, universalmusicday.org.
Thank you, Susan,
You're
for
welcome.
that. And again, my radio listening audience, we want to thank you today for tuning in to Matters of the Heart Radio Broadcast Ministry with radio host personality Princess Denise Wright. We thank you, and we'll be back soon on the second Saturday in March. So be blessed and have a great weekend in the name of Jesus. If you want to give me a call, if you're interested in being a guest, 727-488-8818. Again, 727-488-8818. Be blessed. We're out of here.